Hey, Composer Gloves here, and today we are going to look at Sytrus. Today we're going to look at the chorus effect in Sytrus and chorus routing. I am opening up everything that is the wrong thing. Okay, so here we are. We got our stuff going on here. You notice that I've already got a thing going, so let's set it back to default. Now, if you don't understand the routing, go watch video 2 again. I believe it's video 2. The one about the grid and the matrix. The grid matrix, whatever you want to call it. So, how do we get stuff to the effects here? We've talked about how to get it to the filters, but there's no effects one down here. Well, you just turn it over here. So you could send, so our outs are our dry outs. So this is no effects, this is coming out. So we could have no effect, no effect, no effect, da 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 da. Or you can have it come out with effects and not have it come out. So this is a separate output. Really quick, let's demonstrate that. So here's the effects output. There you have it. It came out. Nothing right now. There's the dry. So you see it's a parallel process. Now, we could do that on any one of these spots. So we could have filter 1 coming out with effect. So this is essentially like a send effect. So we have our send coming out, and then we can adjust the balance so that we can get something that we like with our wet and dry using this knob. So we can accomplish some sort of a mix. All right, so we're going to talk about the chorus specifically, and then we're going to move on to other things. So the chorus does essentially what the Unison does, only the Unison has all those special options. It's like, hey, I can do Unison crap over here. Each voice can be individually mapped with individual pitch variation and phase variation and volume variation. Like, he's a very sophisticated dude. And sophisticated, high maintenance. This is a high maintenance dude, man. High maintenance dude. Now that's something you should be afraid of. So maybe he's a drunk. I don't know. Anyways, the Unison takes up a lot of CPU. It says, give me all your CPU. Yeah, he's definitely a drinker. He just drinks CPU for he just drinks his life away. Chorus is not. Chorus is a reasonable effect. What it does is it takes your signal, make a clone of it, and then it'll modulate that clone and give it slight discrepancies. And as a result, it'll be kind of like a choir. All the singers are trying to sing the same note, but no one exactly nails the note. And even if someone does, everyone else is going to be singing something different, probably just by a little bit. And as a result, it sounds very large and lush. So, for example, with a saw wave, I'm going to turn the dry out. That's and I have aliasing. I still have problems, but it's better. So with the normal, so you can see it sounds quite like, whoa. And I can do a mix of something I like here. So that's it's pretty interesting, Mr. Gloves. Now, what about this order thing? This orders how many clones you can have. I'm glad you asked about that. Also, what does this pan knob have to do with anything? Well, if our order is at 0, just so you know, we're not going to get any sound. It's going to sound like this. See? So we want to have our order up if we intend to use the chorus effects. If we want to bypass the chorus, that's a great option. You may consider doing that. But I believe this could cause problems later on. Oh, no, it won't, because if we turn these on. Yeah, okay, I was right. I don't know, I was freaking out over nothing. Okay, so we want 1 on, because we're going to use our chorus effects. In fact, we're going to use 8. This is much more CPU friendly, but still kind of CPU hungry. But it's, it's not like a drunkard like the Unison thing over there, which I keep saying this, but we are going to cover it eventually. So we can pre-pan our signal. So we can pan it to the left before it ever goes through our processing, and then or to the right, and it will go through our processing as such. Chorus will tend to spread things out. It can do 3 things. It can change the pitch. It can change the placement in the stereo field, that's pretty much accomplished through delays, and it can modulate the amplitude. And so not like modulate like ring modulation, like it's slow modulation. So it sounds like the volume going up and down and up and down. It's not like fast stuff like ring modulation is. So, okay, we have order. So what's this first one? Well, up here, it gives us some hints. We have the depth. What is the depth? The depth is the amplitude of the modulation, the pitch modulation. So this is like an LFO for the pitch. So if we turn these other things off, well, the speed is linked to depth. So we're going to modulate the pitch a little bit to make it sound, more lush. Now, with ours, I choose sine wave. I choose the sine wave because it's easier to just hear. It doesn't sound near as cool or great though, but it's easier to observe effects on. So we're going to modulate the depth. So the amplitude of our modulation is going to be rather loud, and it's going to be pretty quick. Our speed is going to be at not pretty quick. You can hear it doing its thing. We can increase the speed. As you see, there is almost no variation when we turn our amplitude of the modulation of the pitch, not necessarily the modulation. We're not necessarily changing the amplitude of the waveform itself, just the pitch variation that's happening. So we're increasing it or decreasing it. So that's what that knob does. Is speed. We have a delay, so we can delay our signal. As you can see, I hit the key, and then it takes a while for it. Let me click it. I'm gonna click right now. So we have a delay right before. It can be useful for pre-delay type things. So yeah, you generally don't want it up that high. Okay, so we have last up we have this, well, not last up, third to last up. We have the spread. Spread puts it out in the stereo field. It goes, but just pushes it out there. And all the way up, we get to the edges of our monitors. In the middle, it's mono. You generally don't want it mono. So that's pretty cool. And then we have our cross spread. This changes where, so we might have a voice in the right or in the left. Did I do that right? I pointed at the right with my left. And for you, it might be backwards. I don't even know. So anyways, it switches them. So if it was in the left, it's in the right. If it's in the right, it's in the left. And I did that backwards too. But anyways, they switch spots. And so we can mess with this to sort of achieve a mix. Maybe we want something a little bit different in our field. If you want to be really specific, if you're like, this isn't specific enough, then you're asking for the drunkard Unison controls over there. All right. So, and then finally up we have the volume. Volume of the effect. So what is something else that's freaking cool about this? This is what's freaking cool. We can send stuff to an individual mixer track. This is for FL. I have no idea if this works in other DAWs, but in FL, I can send just the course out to 8. Now, I'm not going to lie. I have like no idea why I'd want to do that. Maybe I'd want one so I could have 2 copies and I could do parallel processing using this and completely avoiding all the other effects. And so I could have one process of one thing and another process of another. If you don't get that, don't worry about it. But parallel processing is an option. That's freaking cool. Like, that was so cool. This is just cool. So just so you know, that is something you can do. I don't know what... It gives you negative channel numbers. I don't even know what that's for. If anyone knows, man, share the wealth. I don't know if it's relative to what channel this is on. Let's go to 31 and find out. So here's 31. Whoops. All right. And then we'll send this to channel 2. It is relative. That's what the negative channels are for. Haha, figured it out. Well, that was complicated. I've never used that before, as you can see. Something mulling over the possibilities with that. So that's something that'd be more extensive, probably in a session that I was working on. It'd be a case where that sort of cropped up. So that's the chorus effect. That's the chorus effect in a nutshell. So if you don't want it to be activated, you can just turn that off if you want to get to your delays or reverbs, which we will cover in the next video. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.